Good morning, dear friends. I'm actually going to share with all of you one of the inspirational messages we received this morning, and I thought it was so appropriate for a Sunday morning. It says, each day is a new blessing from God, a proof of his love to you. So welcome to this new day, blessed by God. And we're going to start by reading a message from the book Living Spring, chapter 137. Let us attend to the good. In truth, I say to you that as often as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did to me. Is that okay? Yeah.
Just checking the mic.
Oh, it is saying we're having trouble streaming to Facebook.
Yeah, he's on YouTube and all. Oh, it's not on Facebook.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
It's not for that.
I see
Okay, says he is having trouble. What do we do? Sorry, dear friends, just a second. It's saying can't connect. Or having trouble. I don't know if we go edit.
Yeah. And then go down. It's okay. We'll double check.
All right. So in truth, I say to you that as often as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did to me. Jesus, Matthew 25:40. Not only with words, which are like glistening leaves on a fruitless branch, not only with the act of believing, which is often nothing but idle ecstasy, not only with authority, which on many occasions can lead to abuse, not only with affirmations of faith, because in many cases, sonorous utterance are the cries of an empty soul. Let us not forget doing. Our connection with Christ, our communion with the divine light, does not depend on how we interpret revelations from heaven. In every circumstance of his ministry of love, Jesus sought to call people's attention, not to the form of religious thought, but to human goodness. The good news does not promise the peace of the higher life to those who scrape their knees from making incomprehensible penances, to those who speculate on the nature of God, to those who argue about the things of heaven, or to those who merely preach the eternal truths. It exalts the sublime position of all those who disseminate love in the name of the All-Merciful. Jesus does not compromise himself with those who make war in his name, with those who humiliate others under the pretext of glorifying him, or with those who offered him opulent worship in churches made of stone and gold. Rather, he says that the smallest gesture of goodness done in his name will always be seen in heaven as an offering of love addressed to him. All right. So we're going to invite everyone to a prayer. Let us remember that this initial prayer is not a ritual. It's a moment for us to feel not only the togetherness amongst ourselves, but also the loving and kind God that is the only God in the universe. Let us feel our connection with God, breathing deeply in and out. Thank you, God, for life. For this precious moment. for bringing us together to learn, to serve, to love. We rejoice in your presence, constant and providential. Nothing lacks for us. Everything is an educational experience that you present temporarily to us. May we learn the lessons that we need and evolve as we already dream of better days for everyone. We visualize our dear planet being cared for diligently by every inhabitant, every animal, every plant. But today we specially visualize the task force of healthcare providers in clinics, hospitals, attending to the needs of so many. May people feel your presence, both patients and doctors, nurses, therapists, staff. May everyone feel the call to attend to the good, which is the only thing you have made us to do, the good. In this loving and fortifying embrace of your love, we ask for your guidance and your protection as you kindly grant us the permission to be here together in learning and service. And so be it. All right, so our children and teens have wonderful sessions today. And as for us, our children there will be learning about tranquility. So important today. One of Ben Franklin's 13 virtues. They will be learning about tranquility. Our teens will be learning that in a different way with a chapter in the book No Solar, when they will learn about their emotions and do wonderful exercises of self-awareness. And we will be studying thought and mediumship. But we're not studying this thinking that it's far away from us. We'll see how close it is into our lives. We'll begin a little bit with some facts and science, and then merge into the spiritist concept. People may ask questions at the end, but feel free to ask questions, because sometimes our question is a question somebody had, either here or over the internet. And we'll keep an eye on our friends over the internet to make sure that we can see their questions as well. If you go to PubMed, which brings information from the National Library of Medicine, all the scientific citations, in 2020 alone, we had 55 citations in mediumship. What does that mean? It means that we had an 18% increase in scientific papers studying about mediumship. Interesting enough, mediumship was a term coined by Kardec. Before Kardec, people didn't use that term, medium or mediumship, for what we know. He actually coined a term for the purpose. And it spread out, and now it's widely used, though people don't understand much about it. But we spiritists know about it, and we need to share But science, more and more, as you can see in this graph, more and more science is paying attention to a very human faculty. It's not a phenomenon. It's an ability in us. Who is a medium? Everybody is. What are we doing with this? Probably nothing or nothing much, but we need to know what it is. Our lives will change in quality in all senses when we work and educate on our mediumship. People talk about development. That's not what it is. We don't develop, we educate it. Like intelligence, we educate it. Mediumship usually is associated with pathology, dissociation. These are the terms that are usually used in science, correlated to it. It's an altered state of consciousness. Maybe it's related to multiple personalities. Maybe there is a psychiatric feature. It's related to spirit possession, trance processes, something related to the brain that is working differently. But what does science know? As a scientist, I can say, science doesn't know. It doesn't know. It doesn't know, it's getting to know. And it's not obliged to know because science works with the material and the spiritist science work with the spiritual. So the objects of study are different. But since the brain is material and it's impacted by it, science is trying to grab a hold of it and trying to understand how we process these things that are undeniable and yet completely foreign. William James, who was a phenomenal scientist in the United States, a psychologist, he really opened a new understanding of the mind, and he was one of the rare researchers of all times who took it seriously in academia. Kardec took it so seriously, it opened a new venue of life for us. But William James researched within academia and at Harvard, studying consciousness. Then, imagine, a century ago, studying a topic that was still, it wasn't even at the frontier of science, which is nowadays. Then it was a taboo. He researched on mediums, especially Mrs. Piper. And he wrote about her and said, she is really the white crow. If there is a white crow, she's a white crow. Saying, the phenomenon exists, but then he didn't know what to do with it. Kardec was the bravest of them all because he went beyond the conventions of science then and opened a new pathway. To date, nothing that Kardec said or researched has been denied. On the contrary, everything that the spiritist science has brought is daily being vouched by science. More and more scientists from all over the world, including the United States of America, recognize the genius mind of Allan Kardec, bringing to us a new understanding about the human mind. So, for us, we better watch out and keep an eye on the books, because what science is bringing upon is still there, is already there. So we can push, as Dr. Gary Schwartz once said at Kardec Radio, if we read these books, we'll probably create better protocols to bring forth the advancements of science. And that's what he's doing now at the University of Arizona, creating a wonderful nationwide project about communication into worlds. So he learned it. William James, in his studies about Leonore Piper's mediumship, he recognized that there is a supernormal knowledge, though Kardec, in the Medium's book, says there is nothing super about it. It's just normal. It's just that we don't understand it. This is just to show to us that there are groups around the world, but especially in Brazil, led by Dr. Alexander Moreira Almeida, Julio Perez, and others, in collaboration with American scientists such as the renowned Andrew Newberg. All the scientists have already been researching on all this, and they've been interviewed at Cardiac Radio. So you can go back, especially not only to YouTube, the Health and Spirituality series, but the SoundCloud audio of almost 300 interviews with scientists from around the world, especially the United States, when they talk about studies like this, neuroimaging of the brain, and how we can see mediumship playing a role in our nervous system and what it probably means to us. So it's good to know that what we're talking about is no longer in our homes, in our small groups. It's already in academia. People pay attention, and probably this will be a new way to understand the human mind and probably treat many cases of psychiatric nature. They observed in that study alone, this is just a teaser for us, okay, to see that what we're talking about is so tangible that it affects the brain. So when we are praying, it affects the brain. When we are meditating, it affects the brain. And when we are talking to spirits, when we are writing messages from the beyond, how many of us are drawing or writing with so much ease, and we think, yeah, it's so easy for me. It's not you. You are not alone. You're a medium and you don't know. They saw in these writing mediums that we call psychographers lower levels of activity in certain areas of the brain compared to others that are not mediums. We could go on and talk about what it means in each area of the brain, but what we know is that how can they talk about things that require discernment without activating areas that would be related to the modulation of discernment? How do you explain it? So in that study and other studies such as this one, the physiological correlates of mediumship as well, we're seeing time and again groups of researchers showing to us that mediumship is not imagination. It's as tangible as things are happening in the body. And in previous studies, Dr. Moreira observed and proved in scientific paper that spiritist mediums are actually more emotionally balanced than people who are not mediums. Why? Because spiritism brings to us an ethical moral code that disciplines us emotionally, spiritually. It's discipline. Ethical moral aspect. So a lot of what's going on in terms of mental health that is still puzzling, question marks, gaps, could be easily filled when we understand about the potentialities of the mind, including mediumship. Kardec, in 1857, came to do groundbreaking work. He was a genius in himself, though he was not alone. He was the editor-in-chief of a communion in two worlds, mediums. He was not a medium himself, not in the term, as we say, but he coordinated groups of mediums who brought the knowledge. He made sense of it all, brought it all together, and now we have the foundation there, from the Spirit's book, published in 1857, to the Medium's book in 1861, to the Gospel According to Spiritism in 1864, then the Heaven and Hell in 65, the Genesis in 67. So here we have a collection of foundational books that changes the way we see ourselves. If our children and teens just knew about it, they would live a better life. Like my daughter said the other day, She said, Mom, because we need to talk to our children, especially about school, because school is where they are rehearsing how they're going to be at work. You know those people who go to work and they complain about the boss. They're looking at the clock to see the 9 to 5, they want to go home. Those are the kids who go to school, don't want to be in school, don't like the teacher. They are going to be these miserable adults who are not going to like, not going to appreciate. So we need to change when they go to school and say, the school is the second best place for you to be after home. You need to be respectful and reverent to your teachers because they were prepared to be your teachers. You can't know better than them. Not yet. Second, it's an opportunity for us to open our intelligence, emotional intelligence, and spiritual intelligence. So my daughter comes home and she says, Mom, you know what happened today? There was this girl who needed specific instructions because of her behavior. But can you believe what the bad spirits did? This is her take on it. She said, the minute the teacher was going to give the guidelines, she was in the bathroom. She didn't hear a thing. I said, well, at least you did, right? So maybe by example, you can be the living instruction for her. So let's pray. And often she comes and brings the names of the friends and the teachers and even the parents to the book. Because you see, we have to pray for them. That's why we're there. Why are we here today and tomorrow at work and then later in our schools? Because on high they are counting on us to multiply these teachings without words, in our feelings, and be persistent, resilient, facing adversities. When Jesus said, I will send you out to the wolves. This was our morning prayer today with Emmanuel. He was explaining. Of course, Jesus was not being cruel. He didn't want a carnage. He was saying, I want you to be ambassadors of kindness. Because when he talks about the wolves, he's saying the disciples of the Christ are the sheep. But the sheep need to be wise. As Emmanuel says, Jesus didn't count on us to be weak and fragile to the point that we would retreat. He said, no, go. They need you, but you need to be strong. If you're too sensitive, who is going to help the transformation of the world? We need to endure the hardships. We need to be resilient. And we need to be persistent in the good. Kardec, he brought to us all this work thanks to mediumship. Were it not for this communion between two worlds, we wouldn't be seated here. There wouldn't be Spiritist Society of Virginia. We're here thanks to this collaboration between two worlds. Now think about it. What in your life do you think would change if you would more constantly think about the presence of discarnate spirits in your life, both evolved and less evolved? If I am driving my car and I suddenly see a car passing by in a rush, cutting me off, and I say, oh, I better pray for this person. They must be in special need. They may be in a rush because of something that they need. I hope they take it easy and they really get there safely. I hope what they are planning on doing is good for them and others. So we pray for them. We don't know who they are. But when we enter our car, we're not alone. Who comes with us? Whomever we're enjoying our minds. If we're thinking the good, good spirits. If we are not feeling well, Then spirits were not feeling well. Association. Imagine how our lives will change in a work meeting. If you're seated at a meeting, how often Mentor Joseph poked me and said, Vanessa, pay attention to the meeting at work. We're bored, right? Those long meetings that never end. People want to talk and the boss want to talk. And like, man, we have to be here for 2 hours for nothing, right? Can you just cut it short, 15 minutes of announcements and that's it? But then it just said, look at the other spirit friends who are here, willing to inspire everyone. They don't know of it, but you know, but you're not helping. Because you're just like everybody else. So why do you go to the Spirit Center on us? If you come here and you don't add, so he said, be in prayer in your mind, you don't need to close your eyes. But visualize the light coming here, inspiring your boss and your colleagues to good projects, to good works, good decisions. Oh, okay. And you could see the difference. How many things unfolded so more smoothly because we became the butler, like a butler. You open the door, the Good Spirit Center. They need at least one butler. Doesn't need to be two. Any workplace needs a butler of the good. Nobody knows. But you say, dear God, me today. Do you pray when you go to work? Before you go to work? Do you pray when you get to work? Before you log into your computer? Or before you start picking up anything? Take a little book. Now we have the Happy Life here. They just came in. Joana de Angelis and others. Open the book by yourself. You don't need to show it to anybody. Discreetly. Open. Say a prayer. May I be the instrument, the medium of the good where I am. And then we'll be facing easier times. And at home. Have to work at home. Or have to cook and clean and do laundry and this and the other. I remember once during the pandemic, after we got COVID, it was a brutal time for everybody on earth. And I remember we were recovering, and in prayers, Mentor Joseph said, you know, the good spirits have assigned a nurse to be here to help out. But you need to be prayerful with the dog and the daughter and everybody else. Be prayerful with your eyes open, trusting that they are here to help, to renew your strength, your family's strength, and everybody else. And then when I saw the nurse, I felt happy and ashamed because sometimes we feel alone, but we're not alone. Who is alone at home? Nobody. Each one of us here have a spiritual babysitter. We call the babysitter what? A guardian angel. A spirit guide assigned by God, not only to love us unconditionally, but to guide us in every single step. So what if we turn to them and open our ears to listen to their advices? How would our lives change? Immensely. People think that mediumship is to go to the Spirit Center, be at a meeting. No. A seance. No. Mediumship is for this. To be an instrument every day, all the time, wherever we are. Kardec showed it to us. And he says, mediumship is a natural human faculty. You have it, I have it. And did you know it's organic? It goes through the genes. So if you have mediums in your family, you bet you had the gene. All right? It's in the gene. It's physical, says Kardec in the Medium's book. It's organic, not like the agricultural organic meaning. It's from within. But mediumship is multidimensional. So we need to understand mediumship. We need to understand our spiritual body. For example, in this scene here, as you're seeing, this is in a mediumistic meeting, right? It's a picture that was drawn according to a scenario in the book In the Realms of Mediumship. So here we have the director and the other mediums, and this medium in blue, her spiritual body is a little detached. That's when she's in the trance form. That's what happens. We are in this expanded form. So our spiritual body is more expanded, and then a spirit that is in need of help comes to speak through her, counseled by the director of the meeting and guided by the spiritual director, who is illuminated and is here. This is in a mediumistic meeting that is disciplined, serious, well organized. And that's when we see a lot of spiritual counseling happening. Because many of these spirits, they are wondering, they don't know where to go, they can't see the higher spirits, so when they are brought to mediumistic meetings, they can be counseled and then taken by the spirit doctors to a hospital, to a colony, to move forward in their evolution. Many times we get sick because of the presence of these spirits that are not well. Divaldo Franco himself, one of the most renowned mediums, spiritist mediums around the world, who lives in Brazil, he's now 95. After psychographing more than 200 books, I think it's already in the 300s, and having a wonderful foundation for many people, helping families, thousands of families. When he was 17, suddenly he got paralyzed. He was healthy, got paralyzed from the waist down. He couldn't walk. They were Catholic. They tried talking to the priests and other people. Nothing helped. They heard about spiritists back then. We're talking about before 1940s. Spiritism in Brazil was coming along. So Divaldo Franco was seen by a couple. One of them was a medium. They gave him the healing, the passes, the laying on of hands. And they saw that he was paralyzed because his brother, who discarnated in an accident, was near him often. And because his brother was caught in an accident that paralyzed him and killed him, his spiritual body, when connected with the spiritual body of Divaldo, made him feel the sensations of the brother. So he was not paralyzed. After the passes, he walked. And he's 95 and he's walking. So many of our illnesses are due to a mediumship that we don't know of. We need to educate. How to educate it? We need to read and study. It begins with our thoughts. Everything begins with our thoughts. A good medium knows how to control their thoughts. They will pick up 10,000 thoughts. That is not theirs. How often you're there and suddenly you're not feeling well? But you say, it's not me. I know it's not me. There's no reason for me to be sad. It's not about the bank account. It's not about the fever. There's no reason for me to be feeling so depressed this way. What is it? Or so discouraged? Or so this? It's because we are connected to other minds. So what do we do with it? So we need to know, in this book, Mechanisms of Mediumship or Mechanics of Mediumship, we talk about the physiology of our thoughts. Physiology in the sense of studying the interaction between the surroundings, how our thoughts impacting us and others. Thought is matter. You think, I think, it's creating a living image. And that's where we fail every day. Because see how we are. We sit down, go wild. When you take a shower, for example, where is your mind? Are we mindfully taking a shower? Nobody thinks of this. But that's where we practice. The body's here. I am washing my body. I need to align my mind. That's a training. Thank you, body, for everything you're doing. And I'm here instead of, oh my gosh, the bill to pay. So you're washing yourself with the bills you have to pay. That's why we finish and it doesn't feel good. Because our minds are in the problems. Oh, that person said that to me. And then you're brushing your teeth or combing your hair. It doesn't match. Mindfulness, as science says, is so important. We need to be mindful of our thoughts and feelings. What types of thoughts we are having? We need to teach our children and teens as well. There's power in your thought. The other day, talking to a teenager who was having self-confidence problem in the soccer field. We were asking, why do you think you're decreasing your confidence? And then when we were digging, we realized it. Years ago, when this teen was bullied, he held grudges. He didn't forgive. That decreased his self-confidence. So let us cleanse the heart. Practice forgiveness. Why? And then I asked, the main guy who was bullying you know his family? Yeah. I bet his father is just like him. He said, how do you know? Well, it's just a natural hypothesis, right? He learned it somewhere. He did. His father is just like him. And then I asked, can you imagine living with his father, who is a bully, being bullied by your father every day? Do you think your life is easier or harder than his? Harder. You're starting to feel compassion for him? Can you imagine how wounded he is, having a father who is a bully? He's wounded, and that's why he's hurting. Nobody hurts anybody if they are not wounded. So, if I spend my days feeling victimized, my life is not going to go forward. So I need to change my thoughts, my feelings, because thoughts are composed, as Andre Luiz says, of particles. He calls them mental corpuscles. In Spiritism, it's a science, so it has technical terms. It's good to know. I know the wording sometimes there's too much, but we're going to get used to that over time. Mental formations, corpuscular formations based on atomic systems in different vibratory conditions, considering the atoms, both on the physical plane and the mental plane, as positive and negative charges. So when we're thinking, for people who are good at drawing, like Scott, I wish I could be that good, because I wish I could draw my mental field and see what I have in my mental field and realize, oh, that's why the life is not going forward. Because I'm constantly telling myself, I'm not good enough. I'm not as good as this person. I don't deserve this. Oh, I am not. But Jesus said, you're the light of God. Let your light shine. Are we allowing the light to shine? Often, no, we are not allowing it to shine. we create mental matter. And this mental matter is subtle instrument of our will. Our emotions create ideas, and ideas will create everything else. So when you say, oh, I don't know why I said that, because I think about it. I don't know why I did that. Actually, I think about that. Everything comes out, came from within. So if we want to change, we need to change emotions. And our emotions change our thoughts, our ideas, and then everything unfolds. We often, especially in the United States, we're very behaviorists, meaning we like to change the behavior, which is okay, but it's not the root. I'm going to stop eating chocolate, but go deeper. Why you're eating chocolate? Go deeper, 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 to see why that behavior is being generated. If you find the root, you extinct the behavior. We want to be honest. We want to be sincere. We want to be virtuous. But how we're going to do it? By changing the essence, how we think. And as we think, we create currents, connect to other minds, whether we like it or not. How often you're thinking of somebody, that person calls, right? You're talking about somebody, that person texts. Like, man, I was just thinking about you. No, you were communicating with me. We were communicating. So it vitalizes our life. So if we want to be healthy, we need to think of health. If we want to be healthy mentally, we need to think correctly. Because we interact. As we read a page, Andre Luiz says, we are interacting with the minds that are alike. Consulting a book, browsing the internet, having a conversation. Anything that spontaneously puts us in correlation with others. Anything that we do that will connect with other minds. Which minds do you think we are connected in? What kinds of minds? The children were talking about Pokemon, the types of Pokemon. I learned a little bit. Water Pokemon and electric Pokemon.
So many.
So many different types,
I
right?
get my grandson really upset when I tell him I like the peace Pokemon.
Yes.
John, Poppy, there's no peace Pokemon. I said, well, I made one.
I've heard there are two, the Mew and the Dragonite. That's what Virginia told me. They are
They're
good
close.
ones.
Yeah, they're good
Yeah.
ones.
But we get to know of the different types. We as spirits, we are different categories too. So what kinds of spirits do we want to connect to? Because the good spirits are so willing to help us. They are like good teachers. You know good teachers? Right, Virginia? She's a good teacher. Good teachers, they love good students. But they are compassionate towards our students. But when there's a good student, it's a heaven, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you say, let's do this. Yes, more, give me more. Like what? You have fever? Is it COVID back again? No, but it's rare, but it's a joy, right? Imagine the good spirits. There are trillions of them in the universe, and they are just waiting for people to listen to them, to follow through. If we don't feel it, it's not their fault. It's our shortcoming. So we need to sharpen up. How? By learning the law of the mental field. That's how we connect. That's how we become mediums. Whatever we think, we absorb. Under this law, the individual, wherever in the universe, only absorbs the influences with which he and she or she attunes. So I am going to connect with the minds that are alike. If I want to do the good, what kinds of spirits are going to be with us? Wonderful spirits like yesterday when we were in DC serving the homeless. It was almost magical. Why? There was something unique yesterday.
Yes, very much so.
Some of our volunteers were very willing to make more food so the volunteers would taste it. As if the good spirits didn't know we had extra meal. They sent more people. We didn't tell anybody. So then the volunteers didn't need it. They said, no, you have extra. You guys don't need it, but we know people who need it. And they sent extra. You see, we need to be wise to see how the two worlds are operating. Often we have to go to the other park to call them up. This time, why? Because we had an extra element in our team. And that made a difference. It always begins with us. If we are willing to give more, we make the connection. Forget about ourselves. Think of others. Altruism. That can only connect with the good. And the service was not only phenomenal, it was so smooth. It was as if we were in some other planet. But we were right there in the middle of Washington, D.C.
All of them were calm.
Everyone was calm, unlike many other times.
I never saw any, it was a lot asking for prayers.
And many asking for prayers as well,
I
right?
was surprised, yeah.
Yeah.
Because usually.
There was a line,
Yes. Kiara was like, no stop.
right?
Kiara was no
Exactly.
stop.
And they wanted the affirmations as well, unlike other times. So you see, if we are willing to give more, more comes. It's so beautiful, right? Oh, I know you're moved. We're moved. It's beautiful. Showing to us what mediumship is all about. If the medium is ready, oh, they're ready. So we need to connect with constructive mental currents because there are actually only two, destructive and constructive. There's no neutral, oh, I'm doing nothing. No, either you're constructive or destructive. The constructive mental currents are the more ennobled. The more ennobled the conscience, the richer will be the imagination, the mental power emerging from the soul. So we need noble ideas that generate ideals. What is the best dream? The dream of the general good. When we wake up, as Mentor Joseph says often, wake up every day thinking of everybody's wellness, then we're set. Instead of, oh, please give me strength so I can do my 10,000 things in the to-do list. It's okay, but not so much for us. We need to go farther than this. We need to go beyond our individual to-do lists. We need to incorporate the to-do list of other people in our lives. And think of others' needs. But not in Africa, because in Africa, for me, it's foreign now. I have friends who are working there. We help. Well, God wants us to be here. So this is my Africa. I need to do it here, at home. Am I praying for my partner? Am I praying for my family members? Science proves that if we pray for partners, things change. So we need to pray more. Pray like you're at work. Your partner is at work. Pray for one another. Because often we pray for ourselves and keep poking the other. Hey, help me, help me. And the other is also poking, hey, you help me. 2 children. And then we come home, I'm tired. And I remember a girl in our center saying, my parents always say being adult is not fun because they are always tired. What a bad example we're giving to our children, right? That's not what it is. We need to be up and running for the tasks of reaching out to one another at home, and then at work, in our neighborhood, everywhere we are. Not taking for granted. You are at a restaurant. Pray for the people in the restaurant. They don't need to see you praying, but you bless it. Because you don't know their lives. It's not easy. The people who are housekeepers, the people who are in the drive-through, all these crazy people, like they want everything fast. And there you are, and we're always demanding. You forgot this, you forgot the sauce, you forgot. Like, nobody's a slave. That's modern slavery, right? They're being paid, but they're being taken for granted. They're not paid as they should. Nobody is, but CEOs, right? Destructive mental currents, that's what we need to avoid. What is a destructive mental current? When we externalize our maladaptation, we're resisting the call to the good. We enter destructive waves, connecting, attracting forces that are alike, falling into obsession, which is spirit attachment. How does this happen? With a thought. Doesn't need to, just one. If you keep holding grudges towards somebody, how come that person did this? How come? We enter destructive mental current. At the end, we're all mediums because we think we connect. And then we send and receive messages, just like social media. It's impossible for you to enter nowadays a post, make a comment, and not have a single reply. Or even post your comment, your very post. Somebody's going to say something, right? Good or bad, agreeing or disagreeing, the same for mental life. We're mediums at every step. We are reflectors of the forces that we absorb under our will by focusing on our mental energy. So I want to read a book to learn more about myself. I will connect with spirit teachers who want me to learn about it. Some people say, but Vanessa, when I start reading, I fall asleep. Okay. So then say a prayer before you start reading. And say, oh, please, my spirit protector, come and teach me during this reading. It changes. Call for the help. Call for this collaboration into worlds. It transforms our lives. Just as something that is interesting for us as we're studying about this, we're focusing on the teens, how important it is. In a recent study, in 2021, there are papers already showing the impact of COVID on children and teens in behavioral consequences. But we're seeing this with adults, people being more reactive, more aggressive, more impatient. So right now, it's a wonderful time for us to be good mediums because we have a lot of people who are in need of help. And if we don't help, suicide is just around the corner, drug addictions, and many other psychiatric issues as well. So we have a call for our health and social health when we talk about mediumship. Right now is the best moment for us to learn to educate mediumship, to encourage our spirituality, to heal obsession by opening our understanding of who we are. Thank God we have the Spiritist Center, which is a school for that. This is where we take the courses, we learn, but patiently, because there are people who tell me, I want a flash course. We've done this here at the SSVA, remember? Flash courses, but it was just, we were kidding, flash course. That doesn't mean we know. That means we were browsing through concepts for a small period of time, very brief period of time, but that doesn't mean we covered it all. It's just a teaser for the next. We're talking about knowing of ourselves. We need patience. And as Jesus said, patience is so essential, even to love. How can we love without patience? So to educate mediumship requires patience. A medium that comes and says, I'm a medium, and I want to be at the meeting, because I'm ready, as if they are ready to go into the soccer field or the football field. I'm sorry, it doesn't happen this way. We need a teamwork effort, synchronicity, togetherness. And if we don't have patience, we cannot do it. Patience is everything, but determination. You and I, to wrap up, a message by the mentors of the SSVA. We are at a time in which we become the coaches of ourselves. We have our model and guide, Jesus, the medium of God. But do not wait for somebody to call you and say, hey, come here. There's a great plan for you. Nobody's going to say this. If you talk to all the wisest people that have been on earth, nobody told them, hey, you were chosen. No. Oh, but didn't the angel tell Mary about the baby Jesus that was coming along? But he was not saying this because Jesus didn't know. He was saying, look, this is special. Rest assured, every pregnancy is special. But this one is not more than others, but is the one. So she knew how to operate. So she knew how to be a mother. Not that she didn't know, but awareness changes everything. You and I know that we asked to be here in this life. You and I know that from now to being pure spirits like Jesus, billions of years are in our hands. But the pace of our evolution is on us. No guardian angel will tell us, go to the center and help. Go to help the homeless. They will always say, how about if you read this book? How about, but they are so kind and subtle that sometimes we don't pay attention because the good spirits are never forceful. And that's why many people are sitting and waiting for somebody to say, hey, you're the chosen one. That is never, ever gonna happen. Never. Neither in the Spiritist side of Virginia. None of our practitioners come because their spirits say, hey, you come. You come. And then they say, stay. Come along. But I have to walk the path. Patiently, enduring, humbly, persevering, determining. And then everything else just unfolds naturally, very organically. That's how it is. Are these good news or what? Wonderful news. Imagine, not only in this life, but lives to come. It's not only about this life. Imagine many lives to come when we're going to polish this. From now on, there's a whole new field of study and work for us. It's only the good. And that's why Paloma read at the beginning Emmanuel's message, let us attend to the good. Because mediumship is about attending to the good. Question, friends. I know we could say many things, but time is really running short. What would you like to ask? Is there anything?
I just want to share. I used to think of life as there is religion, there is the world, there is my career as separate things. Recently, I changed. So there was this meeting at work about a student. I didn't know about the meeting, but I was supposed to be in that meeting. By an internal mistake, I wasn't told. I carved myself in there because I have to be there. And then mom shares about the student that that all of a sudden, he turns to his dad and says, "You're gonna come back home, right? You're coming home, right?" And then he starts crying. And now he doesn't want to go to school because he wants to stay close to dad every single time. Anytime dad leaves for work, the boy goes in panic. And then the thought came, you know why you're here, right? Mom starts crying, I start crying, and I'm like, oh geez, and I thought it was just because of his performance. And was the very next thing was like, you know, you have to put the name in the book, but you gotta pray first. And now every time I look at him, he gives me the look, and I know it's not his look, but it's the look like, I know you want to help me, but I don't want you to help me. And every time he looks at me, it goes that conversation, and I don't know that he knows, but it goes this conversation of, I know you're not ready for me, but I'll come, I'll still help. Time will come. And then I let it go. But it was all about a meeting for his performance. So it's not, as I tell that because it's not separate. It happens when, as the saying goes, when the work is ready, the work gets to you, right? Not saying I'm ready by no means, I still have a lot of work to do. But it wasn't by chance that I had to be in that meeting. It wasn't by chance that mom tells what she tells. And it wasn't by chance that she starts crying. I was like, okay, I get it. So it's not separate, it's a way of living.
Yes, that's beautiful. So we are attentive. And people don't know that we're praying for them, like Rejane is saying. But we are. And that's so important. Because to be good medium, we need humility. When we want to show to people what we're doing, we want them to know that's vanity. And then our connection with the higher spirits is stopped. So it's good that we do this anonymous work that nobody knows, but God knows. Because then we're sharpening up our relationship with the higher spirits who are anonymous. Because they're superior to us, they have wonderful ideas. They don't care that you are going to write a book, put your name, and they are the ones who actually wrote the book. How many authors are in the bookshelves of the world claiming their authorship? They are not the real authors. They were mediums. Rare are courageous like Chico Xavier to say, it wasn't me. And say, actually, like Kardec, this is the book of the spirits. I didn't write it. They wrote it, just put it together. It takes courage to be anonymous. It takes humility. And humility is the ultimate virtue to achieve so we can be truly loving. Love and vanity do not get along. So thank you for the example. So wonderful invitation for us, right? John.
When you were talking about the last course, all the thought was, Spiritism is the everlasting course.
Okay, we like that. Spiritism is the everlasting course. And it is, because it unfolds. It's never too much. There's always another book, always new understanding, always a new level, right? Ready for the passes, friends. Right now we're gonna call, as we do, to the front row. Feel free to come if you want when you call you up. Our practitioners will be ready. Nobody's gonna touch your body. And at the end, we'll offer a beautiful lavender cup of spring water. This is spring water with spiritual remedy. There's nothing physical. Drink it if you want. If you don't want, you don't have to drink it. There's nothing material in the water but spring water. But spiritually, molecules of health. So now for those who are home, we will keep you there also to enjoy the passes where you are. Let us now, dear friends, visualize illuminated hands from the spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists applying onto us the energy medicine that we need for the mind and the bodies. Let us feel the presence of true compassion and surrender ourselves to their loving care. Let us help one another, dear friends, by visualizing a waterfalls of healing light showering upon us. The warmth of the waters re-energizes, displacing toxins, substituting by new health. Visualizing our homes being balanced by the waters of love. Let us stay firmly in this visualization as the loving doctors apply onto us the energy medicine that we need. Let us all now visualize the very Dr. Bezerra de Menezes amongst ourselves. He who kindly dedicates himself with his team to healing around the world. Let us visualize his sublime presence amongst ourselves and join forces with him in love and kindness. Let us visualize our best friend, Master Jesus, who loves all of us dearly, and see his loving smile, his illuminated heart radiating light of healing and love. Let us see his approach of loving care and feel his embrace.
Should we go back to the room? I think you can stay here for now. Thank you. Okay, you can wait here, okay? Here, thank you. Oh, there's.
All right. So let us visualize Jesus with us. He knows exactly what we need. He knows our needs at school, at home, in our bodies, in our families. And he's asking us to just trust his embrace of love. Let us feel his hug.
Stay here. Stay here. Stay here. Hi, stay here. We can sit over here. We can sit over here. And then Carlos. There's Carlos.
Let us all now visualize the wonderful team of messengers applying the medicine that we need for the mind and the bodies. So we repeat to ourselves, I am light, I am peace, I am joy of living. Let us repeat within our minds and allow them to operate upon us. As we are here in these final moments, we raise our thoughts in gratitude to you, God, for life, for lives to come, for immortality, for the opportunity of progressing always and never regressing, and for our beautiful destiny in love and happiness. May we learn with you to seek the good amidst the challenges of our lives, and seek the company of your loving messengers who are always a prayer away. We visualize everyone who is here and has also their names in the book of prayer, receiving the strengthening remedies that they need. We visualize our homes with you, transforming our homes in temples of love, temples of kindness, temples of togetherness. May you bless our schools, every hospital, every nursing home, every shelter, every prison. May the places of government on earth be illuminated in new ideals of the good. Feeling your presence, may we stay under your guidance today and always. And so be it.
And so be it. Don't recover.
So we want to remind everyone, or let everybody know, better saying, that in the weekend of Thanksgiving, that's okay, the weekend of Thanksgiving on Sunday, we will be here. We'll have service, but we'll have a special thing. It's gonna be like a potluck Thanksgiving lunch. It's not gonna be a fundraiser, because we'll ask everyone who wants to come to bring their leftovers. so we can share a meal together here. All right? Enjoying the warmth inside of our center on the very day. We'll send the news through our community emails and everything, so you'll be reminded by it. But be prepared. You're not gonna waste any food because we'll eat it with you. All right. Thank you, friends. If you have any question, let us know. Thank you, friends.